Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be talking about your favorite all-seeing eye, Eyebrow. Eyebrow, I feel like for many people, love Eyebrow, right? Like, he has such a fantastic design. At least for me, I really like the black and gold, the one big eye on top. His voice sounds really nice, and I think he's just a fantastic Skylander overall. But the problem with him is that he's a giant, and most giants aren't the greatest. They're really big. A lot of their moves take a while to actually throw out. So you're usually getting pummeled, and even though they have a lot of health and they do a good amount of damage, it usually doesn't make up, especially when you go to higher difficult, modes. It's very hard to use these guys without them usually dying to something. But Eyebrow is one of those characters that a lot of people say that isn't the greatest, and I can see why. And I'll go through it when we go through the moves, but he is more shallow for all the giants, but I definitely think he has a lot more redeeming factors, and not as bad as people say. So we'll go start off with his first two moves, and I'll tell you everything that I learned while playing Eyebrow right now. The first two moves for Eyebrow is Haymaker, which is just a common punch, and then Eye Fly, which is his eyeball coming off, flying around, and shooting lasers. Haymaker is just a standard punching attack with a combo move at the end like all giants do. It's not bad. He is kind of faster than I saw with most giants. His normal attack does punch a little fast. The problem with his two primary moves is the other one, the eyeball. And the reason is that the eyeball does 16 damage. You stay still in the beginning. Later upgrades help this. But in the beginning, it does suck. And obviously, if we're thinking about like level 1s, 2s, and stuff like that, this is really bad if you try to go through like a high level, mode. Yeah, like it's difficulty. That's the word I'm looking for. If you do a high difficulty, you're going to get hit a lot. So you're probably going to be spamming a lot of just the haymakers and just hoping that you can jump out of it, which you can't jump out if you do the combo move. So you're primarily just going to be punching and hopefully being able to survive the damage since he does have a good amount of health. But again, if the early game, not really. So just stick to the haymakers until you're able to get the later upgrade for the eyeball. The first move you can buy for Eyebrow is an Eye in Team, which allows you to summon eyeballs from the ground, which is very bad. This is a horrible move. I hate it. I don't like it at all. So the main function of this was probably supposed to be is just a chip damage tool. When you get to higher difficulties, it's probably not that great. It's still not even that great now. It's just for chip. It does 5 damage. You have like 5 to 4 eyeballs. It looks like 4. And it doesn't work. Like if you do it in the middle of nowhere, the eyeballs don't know where to go. For some reason, the eyeballs don't have like an enemy tracker, or like they can't, like they didn't program any way for the eyeballs to actually understand like where the enemies are, so they won't track them from anywhere. You have to be close. And even there I was close, and that eyeball is still going on to nowhere. There's nothing that like improves the eyeballs at all, which is kind of nice, just because I don't think this works well at all. The eyeballs, maybe in the past games it worked a lot better, but now it is just not working like it used to. And I swear to God, it used to be a lot better than that because I liked the eyeballs. The eyeballs were cool. And again, you get stuck during it, so you can't jump out of it, so you're stuck there to get hit. And I don't think the damage drop off is enough to get smacked once. You're not doing the same amount of damage at all. So just stick with the haymaker still for the beginning game. The eyeballs don't work. You could probably use the eyeball itself for a little bit for like far away keep, but don't use these. The next two moves are fairly basic. Awesome Acu Blast, and then the Pummeler, which just increased damage for both things. And I think attack speed for the eyeball, which realistically, it's good for damage. Obviously, you do it a lot faster. And again, the haymakers, again, kind of one of the faster things for giants that I've seen for like primary attacks. But there's not much attack here. It's kind of the flaw with like the whole giants and Sprouts Adventure characters. They have a lot of moves that do that, where it just increases attack or increases speed or something like that. Nothing really game changing, not really the coolest thing, not much to talk about, but still worth mentioning because it just boosts your damage a bit. Headless but not helpless is a game changer move for Eyebrow, and that allows his body to start wallowing on enemies just by itself, and it's very nice. So the main problem with the eyeball, like I said, was that his body didn't move. So basically you would have to use it far away, and I do have a problem with the eyeball too. I forgot if I mentioned this. Sometimes when you're shooting, it takes a while for you to actually be able to pull your eye back to your head. So you have to kind of just like stop shooting for a little bit and then just spam the go back button just in case. Because sometimes enemies go up to you really fast and you can't really do anything. The eyeball doesn't push away But now the hands do that. They push away enemies. The nice thing about it is that it's like a fling. It's not even like a simple pushback, because you could sometimes see Eyebrow like smack once and he'll go flying. But this is flying. This is the flying that I like. This is the thing that allows enemies to go off the map. And you could spam it like I do. It's a little difficult, just again, the eye doesn't really like to come back sometimes. But you could send it out if there's like a bunch of enemies coming after you. Send it out, they'll fly all the way back, and you can run back, and then you can keep doing it. And it does 2 damage less than the normal Haymaker attack. So it's not bad. I really do like this. This helps Eyebrow a lot. It makes Eyebrow feel a lot less useless, and damage can rack up pretty fast, especially for enemies that get stuck after a while. One of them, like an example I have in mind, is the guy from the casino level, the Jawbreaker clone. You know, like he goes off, he stands there, set that out, and then you start shooting. Pretty good. The only problem now is that the Eyeball doesn't last so long. But again, upgrades help that in the future. But we are at the end of the normal path, so that means we have to pick our 2 paths. And both of them, in my opinion, are kind of good. And I'll tell you why. But this is kind of the more splitting one I've ever had for a Skylander, in my opinion. Time for us to go to the top path with his first move, Eyebrow Combos. Now, like most people in Giants, a lot of the characters there had combos, which allow you to do, obviously, combos. These just allow you to do your primary and then another move. Triangle, square, circle, all of them do a combo now. And Eyebrows aren't too bad. They do have the problem that they do keep them still. But they kind of fix that by having everything just kind of get pushed back a little bit. So the first one is the spinning one. It kind of stuns them for a bit, so they don't really have like a chance to really hit you. The other one is that he'll shoot his eyeball out and then it'll come back in. Sometimes it glitches though, and the leg's going into the ground. It still does like the comeback in, but you won't see it. There you go, like that. And it actually stuns the enemy. It kind of reminds me of his soul gem later on, but it's like more consistent that it will actually go through and back in. It does a good amount of damage. That's something you can't take away from Eyebrow, is that he does a good amount of damage. I don't really see a lot of purpose in the spinning one, especially because at least when I would think you would use a spinning one is when there's a lot of little enemies coming at you. But since he's a giant, a lot of the little enemies just die naturally. So there's not really much for the spinning one. It does look cool, you know, do like the little bubble gum stuck to him. I think the one you would use most is probably the one that shoots out, just because it does a solid amount of damage. It goes through enemies. I'm pretty sure it pierces into the next and will hit the other one, and it stuns. What is there not to like about that? Also keeps you still, so if there's enemies coming from all the other sides, probably not the greatest to use. But if you could kind of guide all the enemies to kind of get into like a semi-line, I feel like it would probably hit, since it's pretty big. So not the worst set of combos I've seen. Definitely a little glitchy though, especially with, again, the eyeball going into the ground. I don't know what happens. Sometimes it gets, maybe it's when you're too close. I couldn't tell you, but again, not bad. Not the worst set of combos I've seen. The last 2 for the top path is Ultimate Pummeler, and then Beat and Eye Patch, which allows for additional protection, so more defense, and you're doing more damage. And I don't know why, but I really like this one. Okay, out of creativity, it's bad. I do like how everybody looks. He has the swagger on him afterwards. Like, this looks pretty nice on the guy, you know, like the little the brass knuckles fucking look sick, more like steel. And his costume looks nice, but I don't know what's about it. I just like how much damage he does out of it. Like the crits, some do like 100, and then the protection just allows him to live longer. So you can kind of just like you can use those moves a little bit more nicely, because you'll get hit, but you have more protection. So it allows him to be more of a giant and not have to worry about actually getting hit, which I feel like was their main purpose back in Giants. But it gives you a little bit more of that feeling. It's not the greatest. Let me just say it. Like, both of these paths I don't think are crazy. Maybe the last one. I think the last one I give a little too much flack to. But I don't know. The top path, it does compete with me. I like it. I like how much damage it does. I like how much defense you get out of it. It just makes him feel like more of a giant. And he does look cool. So, little bonus points, I guess. Alright, the first 2 I want to take for the bottom path are the ones that actually matter. Eye crawlers and bouncy bouncy. These are 2 things that I think actually really help Eyebrow a lot. So, it helps his shooting. His shooting doesn't gain any more damage, but it allows little eyeballs to spawn every time you hit someone. That's one of them. The other one allows your ball to bounce on the ground, pause, and it knocks back enemies. Both of these are very nice. I think the bouncy one is a little bit less just because you're actively bouncing back enemies already with your punches just randomly getting thrown out. But it is nice to, if there's like a bunch of enemies maybe behind you because he doesn't turn around, he doesn't hit anything behind him, to like knock him back a little bit and then be able to reset yourself, you know? I think the one that matters the most is the actual eyeball part of it. So if you did actually like that chip damage from the little eyeballs, but again, they're very inconsistent, so if you really do like it, and I think this works really well, you should go with the bottom path. Shooting the eyeballs guarantee most of the time that the eyeballs will actually lock onto somebody. And it looks like there's a lot more that can be placed because of this. It doesn't seem like a lot of them disappear, since I forgot to kind of say this with the other one. If you spawn another set after the first one and it doesn't despawn, the other ones will despawn basically right after. But it looks like this one actually allows you to have a little bit more. At least when you spam it, it has a lot of eyeballs around, so maybe, possibly, hopefully, because that's very nice. I really do like the chip damage like that, and it's because you can risk a lot less to do the chip damage. Like, I can stay far away and not get hit while I'm doing a little bit of damage, and there's chip damage added on top. It's very nice. And you can see here, my little bouncy eyeball, it will just launch enemies back. And it does 25 damage. It's not bad. You can spam it too. But these are probably the two that you would need to know the most. And that's why I'm kind of split on them. I like the top two, like the top ones, just because I kind of like how he feels. I like how, like, preserved he feels with his punches. But then the bottom one just does a good amount of damage. I like when a bunch of damage is happening, and it's a perfect set. I really do like it. But his first one, but the last one I'm talking about, asserting independence, is just kind of okay. It allows your eyeball to go around a little faster, which, but it also makes it stay in the air longer, which I think is the better part of it. The flying part doesn't really matter to me, especially since if you're not going to be using like the slamming thing, then your eyeball will shoot probably as far as it needs to shoot. So it's kind of fun just kind of seeing it go in loops and loops. You know, it's kind of fun like that. But yeah, the duration in air is definitely what really helps. It's the only thing really. Again, speed doesn't really matter. It doesn't do anything like that the eyeball couldn't already do. But again, that's one of the more male ones at the bottom. It's one of those. It's a Giants thing, you know. It's just for some reason buffs something that, you know, doesn't really need buffing, but why not? And the last one, you'll shoot your eye out, is his soul gem. Hold square to charge up your eye, and you shoot it up. And this is the thing I was talking about with his soul gem. It allows you to shoot your eyeball, which does a good amount of damage. These don't really show it off, but here you go. We'll take this spell punk for example. Boink, 155. That's a lot of good. That's a lot of damage. I'm not even max level with him, so, which is surprising. Again, I used him a lot when I was younger. I must have reset him at some point because I swear to God, I used him a lot. But yeah, it's not bad. Like, one of the soul gems I can say is not the worst. It's a little hard to do sometimes because if you don't pull it off like immediately with the first punch, you'll actually do your combo with your double punch. So watch out for that. It's not really great just because for some reason it does take a little bit. Like, even though he's in the position and you can see him shake a little bit, like right there, you can't shoot it. You have to wait until there's a blue pulse, and then you can shoot it. And then, you know, things like that might happen. But if there's armor, it won't go through. Sometimes it'll like explode on people, but sometimes it'll go through people. I don't know. It's wonky, but the damage is there. You'll use it if you're far away. That's probably when you use it the most. Not bad. Not bad though. Not bad. A lot of his stuff is just not bad. But let's go for like the overall assumption now. After looking through Eyebrow's moves and soul gem and trying to make sure that my personal bias doesn't fit into this, I would give Eyebrow a 3.5. And if I could put my personal bias in there, I'd give him a 4. The reason is that I don't honestly think he is as bad as people put him out there to be. One of the reasons I used to say he was bad is because Giants, you know, in the past, they are big. They're supposed to be this big looming threat against anything, you know, because they're humongous. They're supposed to be crazy. But sadly, since, you know, Skylanders themselves, like, don't actually get buffed after their main games, there's not much you can do about it. So they don't really feel like that big, powerful threat. And I think Eyebrow has the things to make him feel it again. Like, if you really want to feel like that dominance in him, go for the top path. I think the defense and like extra damage does help him make him feel just a little bit more powerful than he would normally would. If you like the damage and probably a more critical, probably better path, go with the bottom one. I definitely think the eyeballs coming out for chip damage and the little slam to like stop enemies and bounce them back is a lot nicer. But he does, I feel like both paths really do give him something. And maybe that's because they're both kind of not, like, I want to say mediocre, but not the craziest. Like, there wasn't one path that was like, yes, you have to pick this one, or you're making a crucial mistake, which honestly is a little bit better. I'd rather have a Skylander that has two paths that are kind of mediocre, but still have something fun in them, than having one path that over-dominates the other one, which there is literally no reason you should go for the top one, because that makes the Skylander feel a lot more limited. So, with that, I do give him a 3.5. And if I had to say which eyebrow to buy, if you kind of like things to be on display, buy the Halloween one. But if you don't care, just buy the normal one. There's no point in buying the Halloween one. It doesn't have a variant in the game. I made a video on that. It fucking sucks. But, hope you guys enjoyed. And tell me who you want to see for the next Honestly Rated video. And I'll see you in the next one. Make every day a great day. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.